And this is how you make a primitive outdoor oven. Primitive pizza camp and cook.
Check it out.
Well, folks, you ever cooked a pizza over an open fire without a top? I'm sure a lot of people have. You know what happens. Got the bottom black, got the cheese not all the way melted. Well, I'm going to show you, as I mentioned previously in this video, I'm going to show you how to do this with that convection oven made of stuff you find in the woods. Charcoal. Got a bunch of it. I'm not going to use charcoal. I'm going to use wood. Show you how it works just as well, if not better. It heats. It gets a lot hotter. So we'll go ahead and put that away. Well, that's put away. So first thing we're going to do is make this fire. Okay, so we take nature's paper, birch, of course. Put it in there. And just setting coals. That's all we're doing is going to set some coals. Not hard. I'm just laying that right on there. No big deal. And I just simply put one of these big SOBs on. And I got all this deadfall. You always want to take deadfall. Not only do you not cut trees down that way, it helps pick up the forest floor. Sorry, there's a jet going over me. I'm in northern Minnesota where there's a air base not far. Wait for that jet to go by so I can keep airing. Like I was saying about burning this deadfall, burning all this deadfall. What it does, up here in northern Minnesota, we have, just like out west and a lot of other places, we have a problem with forest fires. Over in Ely, Minnesota, they are fighting a pretty big fire. They shut down the Superior National Forest. So I'm in the Finland State Forest, where everything's not shut down and they're still allowing fires, very small primitive fires like this. But back to my point, picking up the deadfall from on the ground instead of, when it's dry, that's where you want to get your wood. As I mentioned before, when it's wet, you can get dry wood from the tops of the dead trees. Now, picking up the deadfall helps reduce forest fires. There's nothing for the forest or for the fires to burn, so they don't start. You clear that away. Now I know there's a lot of places that are restricting that out west, and we won't go into that as to why that's happening, but they aren't doing that up here in Minnesota, where up in northern Minnesota here, where it's God's country, where men are men and women are women, and logic is logic and reason is reason, right? So yeah, when you're out camping, burn only deadfall. Burn only forest floor stuff unless it's raining, and then take from tops of dead trees. That'll help cut back on all these forest fires that we're having all over the country right now. Grab myself a seltzer water while we wait. An old kayak. Went and bought a boat. Went and bought an old boat 2-3 days ago, so you'll see that in the next couple videos. Maybe in a week and a half or so. Coming right around the 29th. Of this month of July. I'll do a fishing excursion. I'll do a camp and cook, where I camp on an island with my boat, and we'll probably go after walleye in the area I'm going to go to, which is going to be central Minnesota. As we wait, let me show you a project I'm working on. I have roughly 2-3 dozen almost ready to put linseed oil on and finish. I'm going to bring them to market. I will tell you where I'm going to bring them to market. I believe I'm going to do flea markets over by the Detroit Lakes, Minnesota area. But this is the northern Minnesota diamond willow. This is unfinished. I just peeled this bark, so it has to sit for roughly 6 to 8 months to cure, so all the water comes out, so then when I lay my linseed oil down, it doesn't bubble. But these little knots here, they're actually a disease that hits these willows. And it's good to get them cleared out because they die, they spread. This little disease will spread to other trees, well, other willows I should say, that I know of. I'm not totally versed in this yet. I've just started this project. As I said, I got, I don't know, maybe a dozen or two already in about this far along. I've got another dozen and a half that are ready for linseed oil to go to market. And as soon as I can, whether I build a website or just put them up on my Facebook page, Up North Nation, I will get the contact information of how to get yourself one of these, and I'll be pricing them after I do the linseed oil. But they'll probably be some of the cheaper ones you'll find in the market. I've seen some of these go anywhere from $200 to $400, and mine are not going to be that expensive, primarily because of the area I live in. You know, I live right in northern Minnesota 8 months out of the year, 7 months out of the year, and all I have to do is walk off my property. I've cleared all the stuff on my property, but I walk off my property and I can get these for pennies on the dollar, you know. So my price is going to be much cheaper than the stuff you're going to find online and whatnot. And it's going to be better quality or just as high a quality. I would say, depending on where they get their trees, either out west, out in the Washington area, these are going to be much better. They're much healthier trees before they catch this disease, because this disease dies every year in our winters. So it doesn't take hold like it does in other places of the country. But yeah, they're very neat. And if you look closely, another reason why these are coveted, this kind, these Minnesota kind, and I believe they're everywhere, is if you will see the little bumps here, those are protrusions that only happen during the spring of the year when the trees are budding. So those are very coveted. And again, I'll have more information either on my Facebook page, Up North Nation, or I will add my website, webpage, but I have not built that yet, and that might be a couple months away. But yeah, they are very nice. They're very, you'll see the end result. So yeah, that's just another project I do out here. You know, I work 5 days a week, and then I work on my YouTube, and then I work on these things. And that's what you do in life. This country needs to start getting back to simple, I don't know, simple ways of life. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I'll tell you what, moving out of St. Paul, Minneapolis area back up into the woods was probably the best decision I ever made. All I'm doing now is breaking some of these bigger sticks in half, concentrating the coals more, and I can control how this oven cooks. I'm just stamping out any type of embers before I throw it aside. You got to be very, very conscious about the fire this time of year, July, August. We don't want to be burning stuff down that we don't have to or that doesn't need to be. DNR takes care of that, and they do a very darn good job up here in Minnesota with the controlled burns and whatnot. Actually, a bunch just went by with the fire water truck a couple hours ago, so they must be control burning one of the clear cuts right now. And maybe I better bring you in closer here. The coals and the fire are very close to my grate, so I will be breaking that down a little bit. So I just simply, I could take the grate back off, but this gives a good judgment. You know, you just move stuff around, nice little square pattern almost, so you get a nice relatively even heat to cook these pizzas. Next, we put our oven top on. I've already burnt this up, gets rid of any bugs, any junk, whatever a guy might be a little nervous of. Puts a nice little coat on there. I think why I showed you that in the previous video. And I have these 3 rocks. Actually, I have it flipped the wrong way. I have these 3 rocks that I set. Now I can set my 3 sides here. Woo! I got lucky with this vine, this old root. This is an old dead pine tree root. Actually, my stand is leaned up against it right now, the pine tree itself. So you'll see this starts the convection oven. That swirling, all the smoke, all that heat swirling, and we're ready to go with the pizza. Picked myself up a little 3 meat, triple cheese 3 meat, simple 3 meat, pepperoni, sausage, Canadian bacon. Nice thick crust. For these, I do like to use thicker crusts for this kind of cooking. Obviously, you use a tiny little thin crust. No matter how well you have your forest-made convection oven, it's going to burn the bottom. And without this top, most any pizza, your bottom's going to burn. But I'll show you how this won't burn. And what I'm going to do is I have my vents. See this vent I'm going to keep. You see where the smoke's coming out? And that's the way I want it to go, up and out that way. It doesn't get on all my stuff. I'm going to take this side right here, and I'm going to stick another piece of wood over it to give the convection oven strategy that I'm using just a little help. So what I've found for that, to block my one side so it gets a little more convection going, some old bark. And I'll bring you over to see that. Let's see how that closed up really nice. Now keep that heat in even more. And I'll leave that for my outlet. I mean, I could cover it up. I don't think it'd hurt too much. But I experiment. You know, this is all an experiment. Everything's an experiment. And then, of course, turn your pizza. You always want to turn it when you're cooking like this. There's a pizza in there. Okay, so our pizza's done. I'll bring it up there. Cheese is all melted. Super hot. Meat's all done. You don't get the super browning on the top. I can adjust this and I could dig this out deeper so I could have more heat down here, which obviously would bring more heat up here, and I could brown the cheese. But I'll bring it up and show you. The bottom's not all the way black and burnt, which is the main reason, main part. Woo, smell that. Smell it. Got a couple crumbs on there. No big deal. Don't be a pussy. Woo, see, that's hot. But you see the bottom? I don't know if you can see that. I'll break it, whatever. See how it's just perfect. It's not burnt. Woo! That is hot and gorgeous. Woo-wee! And there's your pizza. Outdoors, where it's very hard to cook one. So I hope you guys found this interesting, informative. Picking a couple pieces of wood out of my pizza, no big deal. But yeah, as you can see, all the juices coming up. You know, your pizza's just done perfectly. Woo! Look at all that. That's all the pepperoni juices coming. Yep. So I'm going to cut this up and eat it. Thanks for watching.